My name is Catherine Drummond, and today's tutorial is on how to do a delicate finished edge on a piece of needlework. If you can see here, there's a very delicate edging on these two needle books, and this is the technique that I'm going to demonstrate. So in order to do this technique, you're going to need to collect a few things. The first thing you'll need is a piece of needlework that you want to finish in this way. I'm going to give an edge to this little piece here. This piece has been worked on 32 count fabric, so the instructions that I give you today will be specific to that. But you can adjust the weight of the threads that you use and the size of the needle that you use for the type of fabric that you've worked on. You'll also need some pearl cotton. This is number 12 pearl cotton in the color B5200. The brand is DMC. It's the same color that I've used for all the stitching here, which has been done in number 8 pearl cotton. Today I'm also going to use this color of number 12 pearl cotton. It's color number 3753, which is a blue that's close to the color of my fabric. There are 2 steps to the stitching of this edge, and I'm going to use the blue for the first step and the white for the second step. If you want, you can use the same color for both steps. You will also need a pair of fine pointed sharp embroidery scissors and a tapestry needle that's suitable for the weight of the thread that you've chosen. This is a number 26 tapestry needle. That's what I like to use with number 12 pearl cotton. The first thing that you want to do is decide how far outside of your stitching you want your border to be. So if we take a look at this piece here, you'll see that there are 4 fabric threads from the last row of stitching here to where this border starts. And I'm going to count these holes as where the border starts, because that's going to be the first step. So for this particular piece, I would like a narrow border like this. If you want to, you can leave more of a border around your stitching. This one has, it looks like 8 fabric threads, and you can leave many more fabric threads if you choose. This is completely up to you. For this border, it's nice if the space between the holes here divides evenly by 4. Now, for this particular design, my design already is divisible by 4. It's actually 108 fabric threads by 108 fabric threads. So in order to keep that consistent, all I have to do is add a border space here that is an even number of fabric threads. So I'm going to choose 6 as my number of fabric threads. So what you want to do is from the last row of stitching, count out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and put your needle under the 7th fabric thread. And what you're going to want to do is take your scissors and really carefully cut just that 7th fabric thread. And then I'm going to pull that fabric thread right out. All the way to the side of the fabric. And I'll do that on both sides. So that fabric thread will be completely removed. As you can see, there's like a channel here where that one fabric thread has been removed. So now what I want to do is I want to clip the next fabric thread out. So that would have been the 8th one from this row of stitching, and remove that as well. And this one is going to come out easier because it's got more room. Okay, so now I have a wider channel there. Now I want to do exactly the same thing on these 3 other sides. I'm going to count out 6 and remove the 7th and 8th fabric threads. Okay, as you can see, I have removed 2 fabric threads on each side, and I've left a border of 6 fabric threads in between the stitching and these fabric threads that have been removed. Now what I want to do is I'll choose a side here and I'll count out 4 more fabric threads, 1, 2, 3, 4, and remove the 5th one. All the way across, and the 6th one. All the way across. And as before, I'm going to do that on the other 3 sides as well. Now, over this area where I have 2 rows of withdrawn threads with fabric left in between, I'm going to stitch a stitch called the half four-sided stitch. So for that, I am going to use this blue number 12 pearl cotton because I want it not to really show. So I choose a color that's close to the fabric color. And I have threaded that into my number 26 tapestry needle. And if you didn't know, a tapestry needle has a blunt point. And the reason that you use this for counted work is that it slides around the fabric threads rather than piercing them, which is desirable when you're doing counted work. So I have knotted the end of my thread, and the reason that I'm doing this is that I'm going to start my stitching with what is called an away waist knot. So I'm going to come up here in this hole. You can see this square that's created by the 2 sides of withdrawn fabric threads. I'm going to start in this hole that's just under this square, but I'm going to plunge down from the front to the back with my needle away from my starting point, and that's why this is called an away waist knot. So I'm going to plunge down like that, and this knot, waist knot, is going to stay on top of the fabric. Later, after I've completed my stitching, I can clip away this knot and then use the thread that runs between the knot and my starting place to thread into the back of the stitches and secure it. And it's a good way of starting your stitching when you don't have any other stitching around to secure your thread in. So I'm going to come up in that spot where I told you, right there, and I'll bring this a little bit closer and go down 4 fabric threads to the right and come up 4 fabric threads down from there. And this half four-sided stitch is a pulled stitch, so you're going to pull this whenever your needle is on top of the fabric. Now we're going to come up 4 fabric threads down from here, or straight across from where your thread's coming out. So the thread's coming out of the fabric here. I'm going to go down 4 fabric threads up and back up 4 fabric threads across the diagonal from there, if that's clear, and then we're going to pull to bring those fabric threads together. And then it's just those 2 stitches all the way around. So like this. And up here. Oh, that's a lovely knot. So as you can see, I have reached the corner here, and I'm just going to complete this stitch. And in order to turn the corner, you actually really have to not overthink it. All you do is turn your fabric and keep going. So down in this hole, up in this hole, and start again. And as you can see, pulling those stitches has opened up these pretty holes along the edge, and that's going to give this edging that delicate lacy look. As you can see, I've completed the half four-sided stitch all the way around, but I still have this waist knot on top of the fabric, and I left it there because I wanted to show you what I meant. So we can just snip off that knot and then flip over the fabric, and then you see you've got this thread that you can now finish in the back of your stitches. So I'm just going to thread that onto my tapestry needle. And I already stitched over this thread a few times, it looks like. But what I like to do with big stitches like these ones is to go under a few stitches and then go under the last one again and a couple more. And do that at least twice. To make sure that it's really secure, because when the stitches are this big, sometimes that's not really secure to just run under them, under a few of them. And then we can snip that off.